Hello, I'm Kona Gallagher.
And I'm Ethan Flick.
We're the husband and wife team behind the true crime podcast, And Then They Were Gone.
We're a weekly show that covers unsolved missing persons cases. These are cases that you, the listener, can have an impact on.
Some of the people you may have heard of, like Kristen Smart or Braceless Pisa. But we also bring you missing people of color and other cases that haven't gotten the mainstream attention that they deserve. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or your favorite podcast app.
Darkcast Network, bringing our indie podcasts out of the shadows. Hello, witches and beautiful souls. You are listening to the Bell Witch podcast with me, Swailes, the friendly green witch. I hope you're all alright out there in magical witchy land, living your best lives. Blimey, that full moon knocked me over. Gosh, it was a heavy one, wasn't it? I spent that weekend in bed because I was ill with this demon cough and cold from hell. I was proper ill. And as you can probably tell, I haven't recovered fully, so it's only a quick intro from me. So, what have I got for you today? This is a fabulous Moot Loot episode. We're on episode 54, I believe, which is just wild to me, absolutely wild. And this one is with my lovely friend, who is a fantastic guest, Liz, and her Soul Creative Circle business. She speaks passionately about holding space in circles and the magic that happens there. And you can find Liz on Soul and Womb, all one word, on Instagram. She doesn't plug herself at the end, but as she mentions, Liz was about to rebrand, and the rebrand has happened, so now you can find her with the up-to-date correct information. Enjoy, witches. Welcome, Liz, to my little witchy podcast. I am really happy to have you here because I know you, like I know you. Liz is a friend of mine through Maternal Journal and all the amazing stuff that Sally Go Lightly holds. And we've both been trained in holding circles. Mm-hmm. And Liz has come on to tell us about this amazing circle holding spaces that she runs.
Oh, yeah, thank you for having me. I wanted to come on and just chat to you, really, because why wouldn't I? I love your podcast, and I just think it's an amazing thing. You come across so authentically, and being authentic is my jam. So, you know, it resonates with a lot of people. So I'm Liz. I run a business called Soul Creative Circle, which has been a baby of mine now, growing for maybe, I think, for five years, something like that. It was born out of a desperation to leave teaching. I was a teacher for a long time, and I was desperate to leave teaching but didn't know where to turn and felt very trapped. I experienced some grief and loss, and it led me towards sitting in circles and then meeting Sally and creative journaling. It just opened this massive door for me. So my business is based on space holding, empowering women, and allowing women to understand the magic of their true nature and who they are. And that is through sitting in circles, but also through other offerings. I hold creative journal circles, deep soul healing circles, and then I do cycle coaching as well. So my business is a myriad of a lot of things, but it's all born out of passion to help people understand and give permission to people to be who they are and drop their masks and really allow women to come back to knowing how powerful we are as beings in this world that we live in.
And it sounds very witchy.
There's a lot of witchiness going on there. I don't really do anything in the the standard way. So there's a lot of ritual in some of my circles. I live a very ritualized life anyway. And then, I think leading people towards using their intuition is instinctively very witchy. Witches use our intuition to guide us, to help us work with the flow of life and nature. And so I bring a lot of that into my work. And a lot of the women who I work with have moved on to become very witchy themselves, which I find really beautiful, and I feel very proud about that.
Your circle's called Soul Creative, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
Soul Creative Circle. So I'm based in South Wales, in the valleys. I work across Cardiff and all of the southeast Welsh valleys. But I am a bit of a nomad. I'll travel anywhere to work if it is worth doing, and in terms of it's going to be a really good project for me to do. I work for myself, but then I also work for charities and organisations who want a little bit more of the standard side of things that I do. I always eke in a little bit of witchy goodness, and even if it's just working with cycles and seasons and nature's magic, I'll always get it in there. But yeah, I do a lot of different things, one-to-one work. I'll basically work any way I can as long as it feels good for me to do.
so what happens in your circle then? Could you run us through the type of circle, what goes on?
Yeah, I run several different circles. So I run some creative journaling circles. I've sat in women's circles where, we're not creative journaling, but when I was grieving, I was led towards creative journaling. I found Sally, and it enabled me to understand the power of creativity as a tool for understanding yourself, your emotions, and your expression. And so I couldn't not start doing that. It was such a passion for me. I just wanted everybody to do it because it had changed my whole life. It held me, it nurtured me, it led me down pathways I'd never even imagined going because I could let my imagination run free. And so I instantly thought, I want to do this for people. And, it's so lovely when you've got something that works and you're the living proof of it, that it gave me the courage to step from teaching into the world of circle facilitating. I guess it was a safer option for me at first, but it's become very much more than that. I hold circles of 15 women who sit together week in, week out. They're free to attend. They're funded by local councils and charities. And they are based around the theme of, I guess, a maternal journal circle, but we go in deep. We do a lot of shadow work. I work with whatever the women need in that circle space, and I give them prompts, and I give them some philosophy or some inspiration, and then we just create based on the theme of the week. And then we share our stories if they want to. And it's a really beautiful thing. I know you do it. I know you've sat in circles like that. So I know you know the power of it too.
I much prefer being in a circle as opposed to running them. And this has come about fairly recently for me because I do have Friendly Coven. It's having a bit of a break because I kind of lost my way a little bit. And it is quite hard, like being a felicitator. I suppose one of my major fears is it just not going right and everybody's just staring at me going like, what are we even doing here? And me going like, oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I've just got this innate confidence in my ability that I guess standing in front of classrooms full of children gave me the ability to know that I can wing something if I need to. And so it was quite a transferable skill, luckily. When I first started my deeper circles that I run, because I do my art journaling circles, but then I run deep monthly circles for women to come and do the deep work. And we really go in, and I put out calls for women to come that are ready to go there. You can't really play safe in these circles. You've got to go in and be willing to explore your emotions and the parts of your lives that you might not elsewhere. And so I never really know how it's going to be taken, because there will be women who come monthly and they know what to expect. But then there are people who come because they've never been to circle before, and there's no real gentle way into it. It's a very lovely space to be in. But when I'm asking people about there's shadows, you never know how it's going to be, but I just trust. I trust in the universe. I trust in like the goddess to guide me, and it's not failed me yet. So that's the way I work. Just work in trust.
So inspirational.
And like one of the things I do as well is I think about who's coming, and I sit down, I just have a minute and I just meditate on it, and maybe have a cup of cacao before, and then just allow myself to drift, and I ask what theme I should be working with. regularly we will work with the seasons, but what angle am I going to take this month and why? And it generally comes. And so there has been a time or two where I thought, oh, what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do next week. And the next day I'll get some kind of inspiration. So far it's not let me fail. It's not failed me at all. So
It's such a trust fall.
yeah. And I just think, like, in circle spaces, I did start off like really holding control. And as time has gone on and I've developed and I've learned to trust the space, you don't have to hold it all because everybody in the circle is there to hold it too. And that's part of the ethos of the work. And so if something goes off piste and just flows somewhere else, that actually it's okay to do that. And it's not a lesson plan. I don't have to stick to it. No one's assessing me. And so I just think, well, I've had far worse critique and assessment working for the government. So
So you're like, this is a breeze. I can take this.
yeah, it's turned into that. There are days where I'm a bit unsteady. It might be where I am in my cycle because I work very closely with the energy in my cycle. And I might be in the spring of my cycle and be really tentative and be very vulnerable. And it's where I'm the most uncertain across the month. And I might be questioning myself. But then I've got a really supportive partner who keeps me in check. And he'll just be like, where are you in your cycle? Stop judging yourself. And I've kind of taught him to do that for me. Which is handy. Or I will sit down and just have a word with myself and be like, chill your beans. Like, these women love coming. You will have a lovely time. Just chill.
Oh, it's such a good place to be. And yeah, I think, did you hold a circle recently that was about menstruation and stuff?
Yeah, I work with cycles. I am a trained menstrual cycle coach and educator. It's another passion of mine. I felt that like education around this for young women is just appalling. And originally I led down that alley for myself because I wanted to make it better. And I do feel that much of our shadow and our shame and all of the things that we hold begins at that age for us. And I just felt like women need more. They need spaces they can talk about these things. We don't stand around the wash pot together anymore and, spill the tea. We don't have that space. So I really wanted to bring that into my work. And I do every single circle, regardless of where it is, I talk about where I am in my cycle so that other women have the permission to do that. And then the conversations that come from it are really rich. But yeah, I work around the cycle and I'm currently about to put out there into the world a mother and daughter day where they're going to come together and we're going to do some cycle education, but in a more holistic, earthy approach rather than the sterile approach that we get, which is very negative and starts us off really on the bad foot with cycles. So that's my next offering on the plate. There's a lot of them at the minute.
Will that be like a red tent type deal?
Yeah, it is almost like a red tent. And there's something out there called First Moon Circles, which is also really similar. This is my own blend of what I think is needed for young women, having been the person who would deliver the sex education in year 6 in primary schools and thinking, God, they just deserve so much better. But having worked with lots of women who have daughters and how uncertain they are about speaking about these things and how much damage they may have from that part of their life, I feel like it's a space that needs to be offered. So it's a bit of a mishmash of red tent, and then we've got my cycle coaching going in there as well, and then some work around like the seasonal shifts and how we are nature. We're not just aside from nature. So it's a bit of a blend, and who knows how it will go, but hopefully it'll be amazing.
Oh, it sounds lovely. I want
Yeah,
to bring my
yeah.
Flossie.
Yeah,
It is good.
if only we lived a bit closer or had a helicopter.
Yeah, a helicopter wouldn't be bad actually. I'd go everywhere. I mean, it's interesting about cycles. I think I'm quite unusual because I'm really different about my period. There's no shame, but then I also don't celebrate it. It's just something that happens to me. And if there's something going on in my head, I go, ooh, am I due on? And I look at my calendar and it's like, yeah, in 3 days. Oh, there you go. And I do the whole eco period stuff, and my kids do see my menstruation. Apparently that's massive. Like,
Yeah.
people see your blood. I don't really care. It's there it is. And my mum were the same, which is why I'm like this, because she would just like,
Yeah, get me a tampon.
yeah, that's it.
It's
So
rare. It's so rare. Honestly, you and I are rare in that. You know, there is spoken about a lot more these days, but there's still so much shame and stigma around it. And I just feel like when I became a mother, I was really, well, just before I became a mother, I was really involved in knowing about my body and the changes. And I just absolutely adored witnessing all of these changes and hormones and things going on. And I found a power within me that led me down this route of understanding the different parts of my cycle and how they link to the seasons outwardly, and how when you look at your cycle and you document it daily, even if it's just one word or even a color, and you there are patterns, and you understand that you actually are not an unpredictable being. Like, you know, women for centuries have been told that we are crazy and hysterical and all of those things. And yeah, sometimes we are, but because we're fucking mad, because we've got things to be angry about, or we're overwhelmed, we're overstimulated, and we haven't rested. And so when you lean into learning about your patterns and your unique cycle, it is so enriching to your life. You just understand yourself on a whole new level. And when I learned about that, I was just like, whoa, this has added a whole new level to my empowerment work for women, that everyone needs to fucking know about this. And it's not always taken like, you know, some people I'll say something like, oh, I'm bleeding at the minute. And even the mere mention of me bleeding to some people is like, oh, you know, like, we all fucking do it.
it's amazing. I find that just hilarious. It's just comical.
Yeah, it's mad.
And it's interesting about like women together, even me and my daughters, she knows when I'm coming on because I'm basically a bitch. And she is a bitch too. And my husband's there going, oh my God, I'm in a house full of women and you're all just mirroring each other with your blooming hormones.
Yeah. In your
That's
Wild
it.
Woman, you're like
Yeah.
daughter and mother in Wild Woman. I grew up in a household where there were 3 females and a female dog, and there was no male energy in that household in that respect. And if I'd have known about this now, it would have been so much easier. We just hated each other in that week. We were all in sync. Then my mother went into the menopause, and that's a whole new ball game again of feeling premenstrual all of the time. And I feel so passionately about people understanding themselves differently and not holding themselves to shame and blame when they have these times in their cycle where they flip out or get emotional or feel vulnerable or can't hold things as well.
I saw a quote once about menstrual blood, and it said if people were as disgusted to violent blood as they were to menstrual blood, like the world would be a different place. And I thought, blimey, that's a massive quote. And I think about it like every week.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane, isn't it? Like, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for menstruation. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that blood and that pain. You know, like, my mother's savage daughter. It just reminds me of it every time when I sing that song. That, you know, like, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of that. And the shame that surrounds it is just, well, I know why and you know why. It keeps women away from their power and stepping towards who they actually are, and being empowered to actually just feel those emotions. But yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, but there's an amazing quote actually, and it's a Native American quote, and it says that at menarche, which is when you first begin to bleed, that a woman meets her power then. And then through your bleeding years and what they would call the mothering years, you are practicing your power. And then when you reach menopause, you become your power. And, you know, a lot of the time we see women when they get to menopause, society will portray that you're done, you're not of no use anymore. But actually, how many of us witchy women can't wait to get up to that age so we can be even more in our power, and we see that. And I think it's a lovely quote, and it's an ancient quote as well.
The crone state.
Yeah, I remember seeing women growing up and they'd have long grey hair, and my mother would be like, oh, why hasn't she cut her hair? She's too old for that. And I'd be there going, I want that.
I don't dye my hair anyway, so look forward to grey hair.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. I see it as like a rite of passage, really. You know, a lot of the work that I do is around rites of passage as well. You know, when you first begin your period and how that affects you. And then when you move into your mothering years, even if you don't want to become a mother, it's where you can create and you can be. And then you move into your menopausal years and your croning stage. And that's where you are. No shit's given. And that's where women feel they've got the permission to be like that as well, which is quite sad because every month we can be like that too.
And you learn about that at your circles.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a lot of different things we do. I've run some menopause and perimenopause sessions where I've worked with a lady who did ecstatic dance, and she put a playlist together for every season of the year, and then we would work through the seasons. So we would teach the first season of your life is spring, where you are young and you are fresh born and you become a teenager and you're just blooming and blossoming. And then we moved into the summer season where we were high energy, out there, very, very extroverted, and just living life and creating. And then we moved into the autumn part of the year where the leaves are falling off the trees, and it's like when you move into perimenopause and everything kind of is falling apart for some women, and they feel like everything is crumbling around them. But actually what's happening is that all of the things that have masked who they are in society are crumbling away, and the bare bones of the trees are beginning to show. And that's very scary for some people, but using the analogy is very powerful for reclaiming and understanding that, oh, actually a lot of those leaves weren't me. And so then you move into your winter where, you know, it can be very magical, but also you need rest. And that's your menopause.
I've been hearing about this dance. You'll have to explain exactly what it is because it keeps popping up on my radar.
Yeah, I go to an ecstatic moon dance every month outside in it's like a country park that I go to, and it's a playlist, silent headphones, and we all just go and dance in the dark, and that is the most magical thing. And it's led by a pocket rocket of a woman that I adore. She's a very good friend of mine. Her name's Fiona Winter, and she is like in her 60s, and she is the most vivacious character I know. And she puts together very soothing playlists. They are a mixture of, you know, popular music and then more ethereal tracks. But then I have also been to other long-term ecstatic dance where you might be dancing for quite a good few hours. You start with cacao and then you just let loose, and you're in the moment, you let go of everything that you're holding on to, and you come out on a natural high. So there's no bad thing on a natural high, is there?
And there's some rules, isn't there? Is there like you're not allowed to, I don't know, record, you've got to have your shoes off.
Some, yeah, when they're taken very seriously. I think when there's cacao ceremonies and it's done on a very spiritual sense, I think that it's that where you have to have eyes closed a lot of the time as well, or even masks on, so that you're really on an inward journey. But then the ones I go to are there's less rules. I don't really like rules. I think we should just do what pleases us as long as we're not harming anyone else. I find rules like that quite off-putting.
Yeah, but not the recording one. I get that because to be yourself, you have to be free, don't you, from judgment and ridicule.
Yeah, absolutely.
That completely makes sense. I need to get on board with it. It sounds well good. I think I'd be just so self-conscious in the beginning, and then, like anything, it'll just melt away.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been with friends who would be like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to take this. I've only ever danced when I go out and I've had a drink. And I'm like, honestly, you won't care. Half an hour in, your eyes will be closed, a track will come on, it'll take you somewhere, and you'll feel the same as you do when you've been out. I mean, I'm an ex-raver. Well, not an ex-raver, but I don't get out very much these days. And like, you feel the same. This is a lovely, lovely thing. But I've done some of that in one of my circles, actually. I did a wild woman circle, and I took them on a bit of a journey for 20 minutes through some tracks that I love but are wild. Yeah, most of them say, when are you going to do it again? But I'm not an ecstatic dance teacher, so I will leave that to them.
Are you ready to sip on something extraordinary? May I introduce the Tea Tonic, where every cup is crafted with care, nature's finest ingredients, and a touch of magic. The tea tonic is 100% natural and have a wide range of single leaf teas, unique blends, all handmade to order using their specially designed recipes. The tea tonic use fully compostable and recyclable packaging and can also create bespoke blends just for you. Visit theteatonic.com and receive 10% off your entire order with the affiliate code BELLWITCH. And take a moment with the magic of spiritualities with the Tea Tonic of Leeds. What's your favourite type of circle? Do you even have one? Is that too
Yeah,
hard?
I mean, I love. No, I love my art journaling circles. I absolutely adore them. But I also have to stay on more of I wouldn't say surface level. We go in deep, but I have to make sure that it's, I guess, a little bit more on a level than if I do my deeper soul circles, where the call is you need to be ready to do this work if you're going to come. And there's, obviously I work in a trauma-informed way, but equally we do need to speak about these things, and we do need to not feel like we can't speak about the things that have been really challenging to us in our lives for fear of triggering somebody else. And so I like those spaces because I don't really do the surface very well. Like the depth of things for me, the walking through the shadows, the sitting and being emotional and being witnessed in that is what I adore. And I often put the caveat out that I am not here to make you cry, but you might, and if you do, good, because a lot of people don't. And that's something I've discovered in the work that I do, is that a lot of people don't feel like they can cry. They feel ashamed for crying. They feel like it's weak. Redefining that is a really powerful thing, and being witness crumbling is powerful when you've got that circle around you who will hold your energy so that you can do it. So yeah, that is my favorite type of circle. I'm just about to complete a year-long shamanic apprenticeship in womb healing as well, so I'm bringing more of that into it. There's a lot more ritual in my life around the shamanic world than there was, and the honouring the ancestors and bringing in those energies. So I'm able to do that in those spaces because it is purely my own work. It's not for anybody else. I'm not paid by council who, might not really want me to do rituals.
Such a bunch of witches.
Yeah, I know. And it's beautiful. And I love the fact that people come along and they just want to come along to meditate and sit in circle, and they're open to anything. And by the end of it, they're like, wow, I'm way more witchy than I thought I was. And I'm like, yes, you are. We all are.
I love that moment when people realise, like, oh, turns out I am a witch. And I'm like, damn right. I could see it a mile away.
And also, like attracts like, doesn't it? I'm special in many ways, and I attract similarly special people. And I think it's really beautiful that, that works, and you repel the people who aren't for you, and the people who are for you come towards you, and it makes real magic. And it feels like alchemy when I'm holding those spaces. I can see things happening. I've seen people meet in front of my eyes and become a couple down the line, and I've seen it happen. I've seen so many things, people getting into relationships, breaking free from relationships, changing their lives through jobs, and by others sharing their stories, and sitting in that energy. It's so powerful. So powerful.
Is this around a fire? I'm kind of visualising it around a fire. Yeah.
There's a metaphorical fire in some of them. I did used to work, I did some nature journaling sessions in a beautiful space that had a Celtic roundhouse, and I felt so at home in that space. I'd set the fire, we'd all sit around it on hay bales or on the floor, and that was a magical space to work in, but it's not a space I can work in all of the time. And so I hold my circles in nice well-being venues, really, that rent out space, and I set an altar and I make sure there's plenty of fire. And we have a few burning ceremonies, but outside.
You do actually do magic in your circles.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it depends what the theme is, really. And sometimes I kind of have to look at what the women who are coming need and think, oh, right, they need to let go here. They need some letting go of some shit. So I'm holding a circle tomorrow for Imbolc, and I want people to look at their inner flame, and I want them to look at how their inner flame is currently burning, and what's dimming their light, and what they need to let go of for their flame to grow. And so they are going to hand me slips of paper, and I'm going to go outside and burn it with them tomorrow. I've got a space I can do that in, so that's nice. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do a candle lighting ceremony and sit around and reflect on our lights growing and picturing what's going to be. And it's all magic, isn't it? It's all witchery when you're doing all of those kind of practices.
It is, yep, rituals and bells, so powerful, especially when you're together. I always think I'm mostly a solitary witch, but when I do magic with other witches, it is just so much more powerful.
Yeah. And I think, again, I keep saying the word witnessing, but witnessing and one another in doing it helps to dispel the witch wound, and, it enables people to start coming out of the closet a little bit more, and like being like, oh, actually, I'm really interested in these things. And then a lady today, and she won't mind me sharing, she came to Circle today. I've been working with her for quite a long time now. She's a wonderful, beautiful soul. And I don't think she'd say she was a witch, but she came today and she brought us all lentil soup, and she made this lentil soup for abundance, and she was stirring it with putting her abundance spell into it, and she brought me the book that she'd got the spell out of, and she gave us all a pot of this soup today. And she's not a lady who would claim that she is a witch in any way, shape or form, but for her to do that in that space was really lovely. I'm not sure she would do that externally.
Kitchen witch.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
I know. So beautiful.
It's such a language of love. I always think people cooking for each other, it is one of my favourite things. I can't cook. It's my major weakness. But it's such my language of love when people cook for me. I really, really, really love and appreciate it.
Yeah, me too.
You go to all these camps and circles and stuff and people cook for you. It's just like, oh, you're speaking to my soul.
Yeah, like I'm not a baker, so I know a lot of people who facilitate circles. They'll bake these beautiful, organic, this, that, and the other, vegan cakes. And for me, I'm like, oh, I'm just not trying. The last time I tried to do a cake was a disaster, and it wasn't for a circle; it was for a birthday party, and it was like a slab of rock. And so it's not, it's not the thing for me right now. I might hone that skill later in life. Who knows? I haven't got time to hone that skill right now. But I have got women who bring, they will bring, because that's their thing. They're good at it, and they like to offer, and they feed, and they feel good about that. And that's beautiful. I think for people to feel that they can do that in a space that's facilitated by someone else is also it's not something we do everywhere. Is it?
You jabby dodger, I'm well jealous.
I know.
All this food.
I know. I know. What do we do, eh?
I know. If my husband didn't feed me, I don't know what I'd survive. I'd just be on cans of beans all the time, eh? Honestly, I am that mad.
I'm a really good cook, actually, but I just don't like it. I just don't like doing it. I don't find joy in it. But I am in the midst of a kitchen renovation that's been going on for like 3 million years. So maybe that's why.
3 million years. Like January.
Yeah, since last July. It's doing my head in now.
Oh my God. So your circles then, in terms of who comes, who would you say your circles are for? Who can come?
My circles are open to anyone who defines themselves as a woman. And we do a lot of womb work. I've had the question before of, do I need a womb to attend? No, if you've had your womb removed, you still have the energy in the space, and we can work with that. The majority of people who come to my circles are women, I'd say between 30 and 60. That seems to be a demographic that I'm working with, and it's not a market that I've particularly targeted, but it's where I'm going, and it's led me to believe that that's the type of work that's needed for healing and allowing women to unpick all of the things that have been pushed towards them for the first 30 years of their life. So that's kind of who I work with right now. But anyone over the age of 18 is welcome into my deep soul spaces and my art journaling classes. It is I'd say a female only space. I've not had anyone from the trans community ask if they can join at the moment, but I'm really willing to work alongside that and see what happens. I'm open and willing, and yeah, if that happened and I had to cross that bridge, I would love to, and I would love to learn and develop that too. But right now, I'm very much working in a very female-centered world, and I mean women who were assigned female at birth. Yeah. So, you know, I'm open to doing other things. I would love to work with men, and I would love to hold mixed circles, but I think that's for another lifetime. Not yet. I need to keep to this baby first.
It's interesting how there's not much of that around, I don't think, like mixed circles. I've never come across one up here in Yorkshire.
The only spaces I know that to be in are maybe retreat spaces that are specific to, you know, bringing the masculine and the feminine together and working on healing divide. Or there's down in South Wales, there's a few spiritual communities that are off grid, and they invite people in. And I know that they do very much mixed work, but they also have women's lodges and men's lodges, and they do the separate work as well. So I don't know a lot of it going on. I do think it would do the world a lot of good, but maybe the world's not quite ready for it yet, and that's why it's not happening, because there's individual healing to be doing first. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I do feel like I've definitely had conversations with men who say to me, oh, well, your work is all about hating men. And I'm like, it absolutely is not about that at all. It's about us feeling empowered to be the best that we can be, but also to work alongside the masculine in our lives and nurture you and allow you to be the best that you can be as well. And they're like, oh, right, okay. I think there's a really strong argument to say that maybe feminism in the 80s and early 90s led to this man-hating vibe that women who work in the women's world have, but for me it's not that at all. Like, unity is everything.
Yeah, balance. You need balance. As a pagan, I work with both goddess and god on equal. You know, you need the light and dark, and it's so commonplace for people to be like, oh, if you're a feminist you hate men. It's just like, that is just so not how it is anymore. It's so old-fashioned, because being pro one doesn't automatically make you anti something else. You can be both things. Not everything has to be opposite, do they? And it's a right conversation to have there.
Yeah, and like that patriarchal like notion that, yeah, the separation of things, it just doesn't have to exist, but it does. And so I'm here to make sure that that doesn't exist much longer. I've got a big job to do.
Massive, absolutely massive. But you're not on your own.
I know I'm not on my own. There's a huge army of us wonderful people who are out there and know that there's living in love and hope and joy is, you know, the way to be.
And dudes, we do need you around. We just need you to like tell other dudes off for us when they're being pillocks. That's what we're asking.
Absolutely. You know, when I met my partner, I'm going off on a tangent here, but when I met my partner, we've been together 20 years and we very much have grown up together over these last 20 years. And he would banter with his mates, you know, and we were kids we were going out in the 90s, you know, and we were fed all of this like ladette culture and lad culture. And so I guess we were kind of like that. But as we've evolved and grown, like, he's now a man who works in a very male-centered organisation. He works for the Rail Network. He's in management there, but he's on the menopause support team. He speaks up when the men in the office are saying things that are derogatory and full of misogyny. And I just think, like, oh, it just makes my heart absolutely sing when I know that there are men out there who do this, and we need you. We need you all.
I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, me too. Me too. He's so embarrassed I've said that.
Oh, bless him. No, we're so happy to have you. I remember over New Year's, I was talking to a friend, like my husband's friend, and I was saying, you're a feminist, you know, and he would go, no, I'm not. And I'm like, you are a feminist because I've told you about stuff and you've changed your behaviour, not just around me, but like completely, because I've said to you, that's quite assaulting. And you were like, well, that doesn't mean I'm a feminist. I was like, it does. That's not a bad thing.
No, I know. Why has it got this? Well, we all know why, but again, it's just keeping us small, isn't it? But it's beautiful to witness. And the label of like denouncing, no, I'm not. It's the same with witchery. I've got friends who I've said, you're a mega witch, you are, and they're like, no. I am not. Come out the cupboard a few years later with their broom. I just think that, we work in this world and we've been led to, I'm going off on one end, to be honest, but
It's
we've been led
fine. It's what podcasting is all about.
We've been led to just not follow our intuition and use other people's stories and all of the things that seep into us for all of these years before you actually know who you are. If any of us, male and female, whoever you want to be, whatever you are, as long as you follow your intuition, that can only lead you to good places. And we've all been led away from using our intuition for a long time. So the more spaces that can be provided for anyone to connect with their intuition is the better for me.
Yeah, connect with intuition, and also don't center yourself. I always think this, again, it's a balance, like when somebody keeps you accountable, don't automatically be on the defense going like, oh no, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean that, it's not my intent. It's like, well, we understand that, but just sit with it and unpack it and view it from the other perspective, and then you'll learn and grow. And that's where I am at the moment now as an almost 40-year-old. I mean, it's been really hard to get there, but the past, I would say, probably 9 years since I've been in Florence, I've started to really question myself about all kinds of reactions I have and, like triggers I have. And it's like, well, I need to work on this myself. I can't just blame the world. I've got stuff I need to work for inside and also outside. So it is, again, it's all about balance, all about the balance.
Yeah, and taking accountability for ourselves as well. Like, I'm also nearly a 40-year-old, and I feel like, this is obviously a magical time for us nearly 40-year-olds, in that we're stepping across a precipice, really, into really taking responsibility for yourself and what you put out into the world. And if you can do that in these magical, mystical ways in community, that's a really beautiful thing. And it's really powerful. It is true as well. We get so defensive, don't we?
We do. It will hurt, but you can hurt and not be a victim. Do you see what I mean? As millennials, we're a right mess. We are. It's because we're such a weird generation, like bridging across no internet and masses of internet. We are that weird little foot in each life type.
I know. I just say to the kids today, like, this is what a video is. What's a video? It's such a strange time. And also, I think in our lifetime, we have learned so much about mental health and what goes on inside and what's stored. I've been led down the world of I've always been interested in working with wombs and menstruation, but I got led towards working with a wonderful teacher called Willow Jordan, who has led me through a whole year of shamanic womb healing, and she's taught me various techniques using energy, sound, sonics, rattles, drums, all manner of different things to help us shift the things that we store in our womb. To be led into that direction again it's just been so powerful for me. I don't know why I started telling you that, but I did. But yeah, just being like, I think it's because I was trying to connect together the dots of like intuition and why that's so important for me to push people towards using it, is that we store, not our intuition gets blurred and it gets muddied by these stories and also by the things that we hold and we store. And so I feel really strongly about us using somatics and energy healing to remove the things that we no longer want to hold, that we don't even know we're holding. And I've had some mad experiences whilst on the course as well.
Are you going to share one?
Yeah, I mean, we had our penultimate weekend where we had a bit of a celebration weekend, and I went and we did a mini vision quest. It was -4 degrees, and we went out. They've got a woodland. You go to a house for the weekend over the year. You do it quite a lot of times. It's like a retreat when you've got children, so you get cooked for, but you do all this magical learning. So we did a mini vision quest, and we went out into the woodland. And we just sat in the darkness, in the freezing cold. She did allow us to have a chair because it was so cold, and we were allowed to wrap up, but we had nothing else. And I had the most trippy experience. And I remember when you and I were on retreat together and we saw visions of soldiers. I think it was like, was it Roman soldiers? We may have
It was,
seen.
yeah, Romans,
and,
yeah.
similar things were happening. There was a woman behind a tree, and I said to her, "Come out." She was dressed all in white, and I said to her, "Come out from there." And she said, "No, I can't, because there's a man over there on a horse, and he's going to get me." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Are you feeling okay?" She went, "Yeah, I'm safe here." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I did see a figure of a horse, and I was like, "Wow, I'm tripping balls here." And I asked her what the conflict was, and she told me it was to do with the Welsh and the English, because it's right on the border where they live. And so I was like, "All right, okay." But there was also the Fae came in. I saw all manner of things going on there, and I don't feel like I necessarily would have been in a place to be open to that evening, because I wasn't in a good space when I arrived at a house that weekend. And we'd done a lot of healing work. I'd received a healing treatment myself, and so it let me let go of all of the crap that I'd been holding for the last 2 months. And then I was open to receiving all of that abundance and magic out in nature.
That's a plant medicine thing, is it?
No,
Experience.
I was completely sober, completely
Oh,
sober.
were you?
Yeah. Yeah, but it felt like I was tripping balls.
Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't plant medicine. Yeah, but because I'd let go of all of the stuff that I was storing by receiving, I had a womb healing treatment, which was an energetic. It's a bit like Reiki mixed with shamanic healing techniques. So I had that done by one of my sisters who I was working alongside. She wanted to practice on me, and then we held circle together, and we did a lot of releasing and deep. There was a lot of crying in the circle, and a lot of us had been holding, storing a lot. And so I feel like if I'd have started the vision quest at the start of that weekend, there's no way I would have had all of that come to me, and I wouldn't have had the room to even notice it. But because I'd released all of that through the treatments I'd received over the weekend, I had space to see the wonder and the joy and receive all of that.
A vision quest? Is this an actual thing? I've never
Yeah,
heard
so
of it.
shamans go out. I mean, it's a bit of a. I'm not going to lie. Like we didn't do a vision quest, but we went out on the land for a good few hours, completely on our own, in the middle of the woods. But the shamans traditionally will go out and they will sit on the land for a week, 6, 7 days, sometimes longer, and they'll all only have water. They might not even have a water source. They might have to source that, and they go out and they just sit with nature and their mind and vision and see what comes to them.
That's amazing. It just sounds just so. I want to do it. I'm scared, but I want to do it. And I get this with a lot of spirituality.
Yeah.
Like,
The fear, though, like, I think part of it is working through your fears. And I definitely grew up with a bit of a fear of the dark, and it still is in there a little bit somewhere. And I knew this weekend was coming, and I thought, "Oh, what am I'll throw myself into anything." But I was like, I wonder what's going to come for me. Is that fear of the dark going to be the thing that I sit with most that evening? And when I was there and I'd made peace with my surroundings and was like, okay, where am I going next? It just went, and I was astonished at myself that that fear actually is more just a little niggle of my imagination rather than deep rooted, and that was quite nice to know that. And I'm sure other people might work with other fears that they have about being alone and being vulnerable.
well, maybe the fear of the dark is because from a young age we're sort of taught to fear the dark, aren't we? I was never scared of the dark. I was an
Yeah.
unusual kid. I quite like the dark. It's like snakes. I love snakes, and
Mm.
loads of people are just scared of snakes. They don't even know why. They just are.
Yeah, I know. I know. Like, I definitely couldn't say that I'm the hugest fan of snakes, but like it's the same with spiders. I'm really learning. Like, as I'm building, as my spiritual journey is running, I'm learning to know that none of it is here to be feared. And actually throwing yourself towards your fears is a really good thing to do, because that's where magic can happen, and that's where things can really change and shift for you, and your relationship with yourself and how you behave and all manner of things.
It's huge. It is. It's huge
Mm.
going towards your fear, not just facing it,
Mm.
but like running towards it, isn't it?
Yeah, full pelt.
Yeah. We have been recording 50 minutes. I mean, you'll have to plug yourself.
I should plug myself. It's not something I'm really good at. I'm quite modest. I'm really confident, and I know that what I do is amazing. I'm not going to lie. I do know that. I get amazing feedback. I know that people love it. They know that the space is real and raw, but I find plugging myself a challenge just because I don't really think before I speak. So if you want to come and attend my circles, that you can come and you can message me on Instagram or Facebook. You can just have a chat with me and see what I offer. I've spoken about so many different things here, but I offer random different collaborations and workshops as well as my regular circles. And so dipping into my social media is probably the place to go first of all. You can find me at Soul Creative Circle. However, I am currently in a space of rebirth. And I do feel like a rebranding is really on the precipice for me to encompass everything that I do, not just the creative stuff. But you can find me at Soul Creative Circle for now. And my name is Liz Thomas, so you can always find me if you Google me there too.
Have you got a website, have you?
No, I did have a website. When I first started my business, I was a digital coordinator in school and I was amazing at technology, and I created a website for myself, but I then lost the thread with it, couldn't be bothered, and it's something that I just keep putting on the back burner. But it is on my vision board. It will be being created because I went through all of the different things that I offer now, from one-to-one journeys, cycle coaching, helping people to understand their cycles, whether that be their menstrual cycle or their life cycle. Do a lot of like soul retrieval work, many things really, but I haven't got that all in one place. So a savvy business person would put it all in one place. I just go with the flow, and I've realised that yes, maybe I do need to be a bit more savvy this year because I don't actually put all of my offerings out there.
Something else I want to talk about is soul retrieval. We could do another one on that.
Yeah, well, I've been studying it this year. I received it and was the most beautiful thing where I was just reclaiming pieces of me. I created this beautiful temple in my mind's eye, and parts of me I didn't even know had gone came back. It was a bit of a game changer in realising that the things that were there that were holding me back and were keeping me small. And retrieving those parts of me has only catapulted me further into my world of wombs and cycles and creativity and empowering women to be whoever the hell they want to be.
You'll come back on, won't you, and tell us all about that, won't you?
Absolutely. If you want to know about my shamanic work, I'm into it. I'm just currently doing my case studies. And I'd come back in a year's time once I've done some more of my deeper work.
Woohoo!
Always, if you want my rambles.
You have been listening to the Bell Witch podcast, created with love and magic by me, Swailes, the friendly green witch. I love to hear from you, and I absolutely love to celebrate you. If you have a podcast or a business, a witchy business, a pagan related topic you love to talk about, you can reach me on the Bell Witch podcast at yahoo.com. Send me a trailer and I will absolutely play it, because there is magic in sharing audiences amongst podcasts. Music by Jeff Harvey of Pixabay. The official Bell Witch photographer is the lovely Beverly Thornton. Thank you so much for choosing the Bell Witch podcast to fill your ears. Stay magical, witches.
Welcome to Creepy Tapas,
where we do the opposite of deep dives and bring you tiny tastes of terror connected by a common ingredient.
True stories to haunt and chill you and the pop culture they inspired.
Or at least the movies and books that remind us of them.
Join us as we descend into darkness,
beginning with the lighter side of our weekly topic,
and wrapping with a full dark, no stars account of terror, madness, murder, and more. It's Creepy Tapas, y'all.